The student and vice president of Students Supporting Israel there, and he joins us from New York. Noam, thank you for joining us. First of all, your reaction to the resignation of President Shafik, and whether you think this will lead to some change.
I think it's a bit too soon to react. Minouche obviously didn't handle the situation last year perfectly. But with that being said, the president of Colombia, that role it'll be a tough role to fill, especially navigating all the tension on campus. What I can say, though, is that the Jewish community is excited for a potentially new start. We hope that the new president will be an ally for us. We hope that the new president will make sure that we are treated equally to the rest of the students, that when we try to organize vigils, we aren't met with restrictions, like the SJP side. They're able to organize rallies whenever they want. They get to break the rules. We just hope that equal rules can be applied across the board. We also hope that we're not blocking our way to class. And I think most of all, we just want to make sure that there's a crackdown against the violence against our community, as well as the hate speech that is being levied against us all the time.
Well, that's your hope. But how concerned are you really about the academic year starting? Because we know, and certainly we've seen these groups being disrupted. There was just a big protest at even a Democratic rally the other night in New York. So how concerned are you? And what do you hear from some of the students? Are there some Jewish students there that have said, no, we can't handle this. We're going to have to transfer out of Columbia?
So there are some Jewish students who consider transferring. I myself was one of those students. I ended up ultimately deciding to stay. We'll see if that's a good decision in the future, I guess. But as far as my concerns about this year, I'm definitely concerned. I mean, if you look at the SJP Instagram or the CU Apartheid Divest Instagram, there are constant threats of physical violence. In fact, the other day, CU Apartheid Divest posted saying that they have to meet the resistance. They have to meet the resistance in Palestine here. They have to, be ready to sacrifice themselves, be ready to martyr themselves. And to me, that's a direct threat. That's implying that they will be ready to confront Jewish students with physical violence, to confront the police. And these are all very concerning things. I mean, we, as the Jewish community, just want our campus to be a calm and safe space. And with constant threats, about hostility and physical violence, it's not really a hospitable atmosphere to be in.
Well, what specific measures would you like to see at the university or other universities? And we have to acknowledge that this is an issue well beyond Columbia or the universities. It's become a political issue in the United States in the midst of a presidential election. It's going to be talked about. So what do you want to see reflected in the general national discourse when it comes to this issue?
As far as the national discourse, I feel like I don't have the perfect answer, because it is hard. It is hard to beat this on a national level. I feel like there's such an ideological brain rot going on in these campuses, and anti-Semitism is so deeply embedded in the culture there, especially at Columbia, that it's tough to really confront it. But I would say that first and foremost, Columbia should be kicking out Kaimani James. There were reports recently that a very threatening anti-Semite on campus, Kaimani James, might return to Columbia next fall. Kaimani is the student who said that he'd kill all Zionists in a Zoom meeting with Columbia administration. So the Zionist community and the larger Jewish community really felt unsafe after hearing this. This student was suspended, but if he comes back, I think that would be a travesty. So, we must see him get kicked off campus, and we must see other threatening students who have engaged in physical violence against the Jewish community, who have brandished the Hamas flag. These students must be met with disciplinary action. I believe they should be kicked out, but at the very least, they should be punished.
And it's a big question, but I just want you very briefly, you talked about a larger intellectual rot, I think the expression you used. Just what did you mean by that?
Well, I basically think what we're seeing on college campuses is a suppression of academic freedom, and we're seeing groupthink take over. There's no room for nuance. There's no room for a gray area in a conflict that's very complex. Everything is reduced to black and white. There's the oppressor-oppressed binary, in which Israel can do everything wrong because, they are the white side of the colonialist state, which is just a complete lie. But the Palestinian victims, they can do no wrong, right? So when you have a situation where one side in the conflict is always right and one side is always wrong, you're not really going to get any answer that is constructive. So I believe we have to kind of lean more into the gray areas. There have to be more, opportunities for dialogue on campus. At Columbia, that's just not the case. There's just a lot of polarization. And I think the more people buy into groupthink, the more people buy into hate, the less productive conversations we'll be having. And I think it's a shame, because Columbia is really supposed to be one of the top institutions in the world, not just in the country, but in the world. And I think that, hopefully with the new president, we can return Columbia University to the status it once held as, as a bastion of intellectual freedom and higher education. So that's what I'm looking forward to. More dialogue, more discussion, less polarization. Maybe, as SSI vice president, I find it really difficult to even engage other groups on campus. So I hope this year, at least some other groups will maybe come to the table, come to our events, meet our diverse community, move past the binary that we are, white settler colonialists, and really come to the table.
All right. Well, well said, Noam. We commend you for staying in Colombia and trying to engage in that dialogue, and we wish you, the students supporting Israel, and all the Jewish students and all the students on Columbia campus, hopefully this academic year, we'll see some of those changes that you hoped, you expressed that you hope you will see. Noam Woldenberg, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.